Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to my deep guide, and in today's video we are finally checking out the AIPaper in a form of an in-depth review. Full-on disclosure, this is a pre-production unit, so it's not a finished unit. This is not a finished version of the OS that is going to ship to the customers, hopefully, because it's not in the best of states. Also, this unit has been sent to me for free from AIPaper, but they are not sponsoring the video, they don't have any say in the video or anything like that. The independence of my deep guide is covered by you guys by checking out the stuff on mydeepguide.com/shop, my daily organizer, my meeting planner, hyperlinked PDF files that help you organize all of your personal or business needs. And that's something that you can check out with the hyperlinks in the description below, where you have playlists with lots of details. But I'm not going to delay anything because it's going to be a long video, because I'm going through pretty much every single thing in this device, because I think that it's important to cover as much as possible. So let's dive deep. What is it? Well, it is a monochromatic Android-powered e-ink device that sports a 10.67-inch e-ink Carta screen. So that means that it's a Carta flexible screen, doesn't have a glass panel on top, it has a plastic panel on top, meaning it's lighter, it's thinner, and traditionally these screens provide for a nicer writing experience because they don't have that hard surface. It's an AI-centered or powered device. Well, that's just marketing speak, because what that actually means is that it has certain ChatGPT integrations that are embedded into some of the elements of the tablet. In reality, this is something that you can see it's somewhat of a gimmick, somewhat of a convenience, depends on how it's used, but overall it's something that I think misses the mark. I always issue a warning regarding any kind of crowdfunding Kickstarter campaign. First of all, if you support a Kickstarter campaign, that means that it carries with itself inherent risks. What are the risks? Well, you make a pledge, and if the project is successful, meaning that the funding is successful, that money is taken and you don't get it back. The second concern is a very real one. So let's say everything is good and you get shipped the product and you really like it. There's going to be a big question mark about the long-term support and the quality of the said support over the long term. Design-wise, well, this is a very nice looking tablet. It has a metal aluminum alloy frame that goes all around the edge of the device, and I believe that internally it just holds the components, and then you slot the screen on the top and you slot this bottom on the back, and then you have this thin little pancake of a device. And thin it really is, because as I measured in the unboxing and first impressions of the tablet, while it doesn't meet the mark that is being advertised, because it is being advertised as 4.5 millimeters, it actually measures at 4.55 millimeters, which makes it 0.05 millimeters thinner than the Go 10.3 tablet from Books, which is exactly at 4.6. Whether or not that 0.05 millimeters matters, I really don't know. To me, it really doesn't matter at all. The back that is basically identical to the Remarkable 2, it just has a different logo and it lacks the rubber feet. Not getting the anti-slip feet is not a good idea, because then your device becomes slippery. It's a flush screen, as you can see, fully flush, and we have a bezel all around, which the frame is equal on the sides and on the top, but it is a lot wider here at the bottom. The color of the frame is trying to roughly match the color of the whiteness of the screen, and to a large degree it does manage to do that in a good way. At the bottom of the device we have 3 capacitive buttons. There is nothing on this side, nothing on the other side. On the top we have the power button, which duplicates as a fingerprint reader as well. And on the bottom we have just the USB-C here, which is for data communication and charging, and this is the LED indication right here. These lines here, they provide for access for the wireless signals to come out from the metal frame and basically communicate that way, and that's pretty much it. These little two things on the bottom here, I don't know if you can see them, but these guys, I think they are microphones. Generally speaking, the build quality, even on this pre-production model, is quite good, especially if you consider, you know, the challenges of creating something this thin, this small, the margin of error going way down. I mean, making it really thin and fairly straight, that is a challenge, and that is a testament to the build quality of the device. The back, if you run the fingers underneath it, because it's so thin, if you apply even the slightest bit of pressure, you will start to feel the relief of the components underneath it. And I was trying to get like a reflection to maybe see it, because under certain conditions you can see the waviness. The only obvious issue that I do have with the build quality of this one is basically the USB-C port, and not the port itself, but the way this has been carved out, already milled frame, and not really worked at. And this is incredibly sharp, and this level of non-finishedness is not something that I've seen anywhere. And if you take a close-up photo of it, you basically see that this has been simply cut out of this metal and not finished in any way. Otherwise, build quality seems to be okay on this unit that I have received. The specifications of the AIPaper, as their website states in the hardware section, they are stating it here. They're still stating 4.5 millimeters, even though it doesn't really reach that that size. It is slightly thicker, but it is super slim. Yes, weight is 370 grams. That is roughly in line with what I measured as well. 1065 inches Mobius Carta technology, Carta 1300, with a resolution of 1920 by 2560, which results in 300 ppi. It is using a 4000 milliamp polymer lithium-ion battery, has an octa-core 2 GHz SoC with 4 GB of LPDDR4X RAM, 128 GB of storage, not ROM. It has Wi-Fi connectivity and Bluetooth connectivity, and distance pen to ink 750 micrometers. Okay, we'll see. Can't say that I am a fan of misrepresenting the facts, because the device is not 4.5 millimeters thin. It is 4.57 at most consistently, and maybe sometimes if you really try, you can squeeze it out to be 4.55. So no matter what kind of rounding you are using, it's very difficult to stretch it out to 4.5. It's more 4.6 millimeters thin. This I would classify as misleading, because it is incorrect. Pricing and just the availability, I mean, you just go to ViWoods.com and then you find the site saying everything's fine, everything's dandy, and that ViWoods AIPaper is $550 or $549, and it is in stock. You got shipping time. The estimated delivery times begins on the October 10th, but it doesn't really mention anywhere that this is a Kickstarter project, and that is a very big warning flag for me. Kickstarter page is still active. I mean, the Kickstarter is not yet finished, and it still says rewards aren't guaranteed, which is normal for a Kickstarter thing, and you can still pledge a reward because, yeah, the Kickstarter campaign is still open. And then we get to the estimated deliveries, which is December 2024 for the AIPaper Mini, right? And then you have ViWoods AIPaper e-ink tablet, December 2024. However, if you go a little bit further down, then you get to have some earlier bundles, which are supposed to ship earlier. And the one that ships out at October 2024 is no longer available. So the reward of pledging for the AIPaper on their Kickstarter that would ship on October 2024 at the price of $479 US. Hey, I'm in the middle of editing, right, of this whole thing, and I just noticed another discrepancy here in the section where I'm talking about the price and the availability. We take a look at what they're saying here in their pledge. It says 41% off from the original $799 MSRP. 41% off from $799 MSRP is $471.41 US dollars. It is not $479 US dollars. And that also is deceptive to the original customers or the pledgers and the backers, because they were under the impression that they're going to get a $800 tablet, which now seems to be going for $549 US dollars. So what is going on here? This is weird. That is no longer available. And what confuses me here, it seems that if you go on their site, right? If I go on their site, I make this order, it says estimated delivery time begins on October 10th at this price, $549 US dollars. While if I were to support them via Kickstarter and made a pledge for the full price, right, the same thing, estimated delivery would be December 2024. Isn't the Kickstarter pledge supposed to have priority over this thing? And it says that it's in stock, even though the shipping will begin on October 10th. The device comes with a Wacom EMR layer, meaning that you can use Wacom EMR pens, and it does come with a dedicated ViWoods pen here. The pen is not using standard nibs. As you can see, they are quite different, of a different standard, so you are not able to just simply get a different one and then go and replace the feel. The good news is that the nib feels really good, and the amortization of the system here is actually quite good. The pen also comes with a button here and an eraser on the back. Because of that amortization and because of the way it's actually built, even though it's plasticky and kind of feels cheap-ish, the writing feel and comfort is quite nice, even for longer writing sessions. The build quality, however, is a concern, because one of the pens that I received, this is a good pen, right? So this is the one that works, but the other one that I received had this little ring holder for the nib actually broken. And that is a testament that the material that's being used for the pen maybe is not of the best quality, and when you actually make a combination of exerting quite a bit of forces when writing and having a system that absorbs those forces, the surrounding material has to be able to do that, not just on a vertical push, but on a diagonal push as well. And I think that that's where you're going to start seeing some problems, some design issues, because you can see how the nib that I've used is already starting to curve under that pressure. And that means that a lot of pressure is also being exerted on this little ring here on the side. So the situation that you have is that the harder material of the nib shaft, which is metal, is from inside pressing on the softer and more brittle and less durable material, which is the plastic of the pen. That can only end in the failure of the weaker material over time. There is no other outcome. In the cover, like really weirdly, there's this hidden pouch where you have two extra nibs. Now the original nib that was here extra was one soft one and one harder one, which I've now placed in here. And the reason for that is that the original one, the soft one that it used, is this one on the left. It is bent and it has become spent and bent. I don't mean to rhyme, but that's what it has happened to it. To the point where I no longer can actually use it, and that's only after a couple of days of use. Let's be generous and let's say a week of use. So I switched to a harder nib, which is of the same standard, but instead of the other ones, it's plastic inside, it's not metal. which I think is a better thing for the pen itself, because you don't have that issue of the harder material pressing against the more brittle material that's going to crack over time, which is metal pressing against plastic, which is inside is plastic. Unfortunately, this one, even though it is harder quality, it's extremely slippery, so it's nowhere near as comfortable as the other one. So the writing experience is far superior with the other nib, but unfortunately, as you've seen, the nib deforms and becomes basically unusable after a couple of days of use. The pen is also equipped with a magnet, and the device seems to have a nice little line here, which is an indicator of where the pen should be. And indeed, when the end of the pen meets that line, this is like the best holding position. That being said, yes, the pen is on the tablet, but even the smallest like of a movement will just get it off the tablet. The pen is equipped with both a button and an eraser, but both function only as an eraser functionality, and the eraser at the rear of the pen is really not sensitive and requires like a very uncomfortable amount of pressure against the screen to make it even start working, and even when it does start working, it's working in a bad way. There's another issue, which is that the pressure sensitivity of the pen that's being sent back to the device is uneven, really uneven, or it's not calibrated properly, as the end impression is not one where basically you have control when you're using pressure sensitive brushes. Overall, it's a nice pen, really nice, with a really nice writing feel, and it does that task very well. Unfortunately, I am really concerned about its durability because of the design, how it's been made. Everything else falls a little bit short. The device comes with a leather cover that continues the leitmotif of heavily borrowing from Remarkable 2. So we have the logo down here, the almost identical but a much cheaper looking and feeling version of the notebook spine that serves as the device holder. So you're supposed to slot the device in like this, and then you have magnets here and magnets there holding the device. That does function. However, the magnets are very weak. So from here it works, but if you try to lift it, it simply cannot. The magnets and the whole thing, let me just slot it in. So it's okay. All right, so you can if you hold it by a flap, but if you hold it by the edges, then you exert too much bend and the magnet lets go of the device. There are like a lot of imperfections here and a lot of bends. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but it is not a nice surface to touch, and also it's all wavy. It doesn't really fit the device in a perfect way. So you have this thing sticking out, which you definitely can feel. And although yes, these are made to kind of hold the device, help hold the device in place a little bit, it is sticking out way too much. Yeah, you can place the pen and it holds the pen really well in there, which is a really good thing because, as I've shown before, the magnets are not really strong enough to hold the pen in place if you transport the device anywhere. So that's a nice thing to see. The cover as a whole package, it looks and feels nice to hold and handle. As I mentioned, the edge treatment is very nice, and it's actually nicer than the one that I experienced with the leather flipbook cover for the Remarkable Paper Pro. It is also very lightweight and very thin. As the complete package, it does not turn into a bulky, heavy mess. So while the cover itself is of a nice look and feel, I'm not convinced that it would be able to keep the device secure and safe in normal operations over an extended period of time. It's going to cover the screen and it's going to protect the screen from smaller things, but nothing more than that. On to the display and image quality, and as mentioned, this is a 10.65 inch display with 300 ppi, monochromatic, no front light. One other very important aspect of it is that this is a Carta flexible panel, which means that it has a plastic panel on top, which should make it more comfortable for writing. It does make it thinner, and it does make it lighter because it does not contain the glass panel on top of the HD Carta screens. Traditionally, these screens, the Carta flexible screens, produce a little bit fuzzier and a little bit of a less contrast of the screen than compared to the HD Carta screens, but when properly tested, I didn't really notice that as a thing. The only thing that I did notice is that the blacks are not exactly as black as you can actually see them on the HD Carta screens, and I believe that that has to do with the Carta flexible screen. When I was testing the initial impressions, I was using it as a normal device, which was basically opening the PDF testing files in its native PDF app, and I started encountering problems of clarity, contrast being too much intensity, and not being able to adjust the contrast as it is grayed out, and all these sorts of things. And when I compared the device to the Go 10.3 or actually any other device, the rendering of characters in a PDF file didn't look good, but I saw that when I was writing and when I was looking at the icons and the rendering of the icons, I mean, these are very nice and sharp. So after the making of that video, I spent time and concluded that the issues that I was experiencing with the display quality are directly related to the native PDF reader app that's used in the library. And therefore, for this showing you the display quality and the image quality here, I'm going to use the Kobo app instead, because I found that that one actually works and displays the content way more better, and I think that it is a more faithful representation of what the screen panel and what the device is actually capable of. If you do use that one, then you can see that the sharpness and the contrast quality is really good. This is much more in line with what I would expect to see from a 300 ppi monochromatic screen, and hopefully you can see that the clarity and the rendering of the characters when the software is a proper one and it drives the display panel in a proper way is really sharp and really good. In addition, if I go into the super zoomed state here, we do have contrast control now working in a third-party app. Right, so now I am able to increase the contrast. So let's say that this was contrast at 2, but if I wanted to make it even more kind of poppy, then you can go contrast to 5, and of course you can go to extreme values. You can see that it emboldens the text, but it also makes the blacks a little bit more blacker, which of course that's what the contrast does. And you can of course go all the way down here, which again I think offers a very nice quality, and for my eyes a nicer look than the beefed up contrast, because I prefer rendering of fonts in a thinner and more precise way if the display can support the details that are involved in the intricacies of the curves and things like that, and this one absolutely can deliver that, despite the first impressions that were wrongly indicated by the built-in reader app. And even the rendering of graphic novels or images more complex, it does offer a nice experience. Sometimes it will have a little bit of ghosting, as you can see, a little bit of remnants here in the most of difficult of conditions, but for general use I find it to be quite capable and able to clean things up in a really good way. So when you get to nice finer details, then you can also adjust the contrast in this way. So maybe I want to pop it up a little bit, but up to 2 to get a little bit more of a contrasty feel here when reading a book like this. But overall it looks really good, and when coupled with the thinness of the device, right, and then you start seeing it in this context, and the fact that there's a very, very minimal surface to screen distance because it does not have a front light, then this actually offers a really, really nice reading experience. The reflectivity is also really, really good. So all of those things in combination, when paired with an app, with software basically that is capable to operate as it should, the device is capable of delivering a really, really nice reading experience. I mentioned that the device does have a couple of refresh modes, so you've already seen the contrast control. Unfortunately, currently the contrast control only works with third-party apps, and it does not work with the notepads or the meeting or the native reader, which is bizarre. As far as refresh modes, we have best display, fast mode, and ultra fast. So let's do a couple of page flips here in the best mode, so you can see the image quality here. Then we can flip to fast mode, and the fast mode degrades the resolution a little bit, gives it a little bit more graininess that you can see, but it's not unpleasant. Actually, it almost resembles like a print of some sort. And for the most part, it's actually okay. So it offers a lot faster type of interaction, but the ghosting goes, you know, all over the place, and it becomes a big, big mess as far as the ghosting goes. It's still readable for this type of content where you have a lot of stuff changing all the time, but if you do change it to something that has a lot more empty backgrounds and things like that, you're going to start to notice the ghosting quite severely. Then you have the ultra fast mode, which reduces the resolution even further, but it improves the smoothness of the rendering even more. You can have a good type of reading experience, especially because faster you go, more ghosting you have, but it also makes the image paler, and then you can maybe ramp up the contrast a little bit more, and then you can find an interesting type of compromise between the two, where you're able to kind of find like a balance, a healthy balance between good enough of a contrast and really satisfying reading experience. And again, when you compare this kind of stuff with the thinness, the viewing angles, and all of this kind of stuff, it actually does lend itself to be a pleasant reader if you get the configuration to suit your reading needs properly. So it doesn't offer this kind of reading experience or display image quality experience in the native reader, unfortunately, but it does fortunately come with Kindle and Kobo as pre-installed system apps, so there's that as well. You do have an option of manually refreshing the screen. So for example, I exited the reader and hopefully the camera can pick up the ghosting remnants that you can see here. So the only way to get rid of that is either to perform operations and wait for it to go away, or you can swipe down, you can perform a manual refresh, and then that will clean it up, and that's good. These two buttons have a dual function, single press and a press and hold, while the back function only has the back as a single press, but this would be a perfect opportunity to have a dual function here for the back button to press and hold for a manual refresh. Battery performance on the AIPaper is also really good. So what we are looking for is this purple one, and the tests that I have performed, they're standard tests. They are with reading, so consistently reading for 1 hour, and then it's flipping pages manually, in this case every 20 seconds. And the writing test is continuously writing for half an hour or 20 minutes, depends on how much time I've got. I think this one was half an hour, and then extrapolating the consumption results and basically getting the results estimates that way. Now, this being a non-front lit device, there's only one test per each, which is without the front light on. So that is why you won't see the purple line in the front light 100% and front light 30% categories of reading, or the front light category of the writing. We can see that I get the estimate of around 60 hours or more of continuous reading time per charge, and this is with Wi-Fi on. Not performing any of the AI actions, just simply reading, and this puts it into a category of devices with very good battery life. at 8.33 hours of continuous writing per charge. For me, anything that manages to hit that mark of 8 hours of continuous writing per single charge is good enough, because this is one of the most complex tasks that the device will have to be able to perform, and it is very, very taxing on the SoC and the whole system to capture and do all of that stuff in real time. And also please remember that this is continuous writing, so if you're continuously writing for more than 8 hours, you're gonna have some problems with your arm, and not with the charge of the AIPaper, which is a good thing. While I was performing the writing battery performance tests, and one thing that I've noticed is that right around here, the device started to build up heat, and that heat continued to build up. The longer I continued writing, more the heat would build up. And my test was, I think, half an hour or 20 minutes, and it built up to the point where you could definitely feel it. Up to a point, it was not uncomfortable, but you could absolutely feel it on the brink of becoming a little bit uncomfortable, and the heat you could feel here as well. So the SoC is definitely somewhere around here, and that indicates that the internal design of heat dissipation is not really that well done. I do not know what will happen to this device if the battery starts to overheat, or if you are in a situation where you are charging the device and, let's say, writing for a lot. If you then start to have a battery heating up and the SoC heating up and an internal design that is not basically designed in a good way to use this frame as a heat pipe or to dissipate heat in an effective manner, that can lead to potentially bad situations. So this is not normal to feel the SoC start having a heat buildup during writing tasks after only 15-20 minutes. So that's something that you absolutely have to be aware of. Let's cover the general operations, and we start from the home screen. So the home screen is divided into 6 quads here. So you got paper, daily, meeting, learning, picking, and apps. And you get the access to the same things here as well. So you got apps are these little squares. Email is not covered here, so you got email client there. Then we got reading or learning. We got the picks or picking. Then you have the meeting, the calendar or the daily, and the notes and the paper. And the icons do match, so you are able to make a logical connection to, you know, who's who and what they are. System-wide, you have these 2 panels here, the side panel and the top panel. Both are contextual. So in the home menu, you have the main search bar, which will search the documents and the tags. Currently, the device is not able to do a handwrite content search. So if I go into the paper or notebooks, you can see that everything changes, and now the top bar is showing papers, quick notes, or folders, right? So you can look at your notebooks in 3 different views, and they're kind of sorted in that way. I'm not really sure why would they divide these things into so many subcategories. That's not all. On the side, you also have planners, right? So then you have planners as well. Then you have your start documents, locked documents, and tagged documents. If you go into the calendar, then everything changes, and this is just basically a calendar view. If you go to the meeting notes, it changes a little bit, but it's still familiar enough, right? So you have top bar, sidebar, functionality is here. Hey, where are my tags? The tags are not system-wide. So the tags that you make in notebooks or papers, they do not cross over to meetings, to pictures, to documents. Nope, they're just there. So tags that you make in meetings are just for meetings, and tags that you make in notebooks are just for notebooks. Makes no sense to me at all. Then you have pickings. Then you have your library, which we will touch upon more. Then we have the email client. I will not test the email client simply because I do not feel comfortable sharing email credentials with this device. And then you have your apps as well. This is not a Google Play certified device, so you do not have a Google Play Store. But you do have an app store, which is a local app store that will give you access to some more apps, but not really a lot. This is all apps, right? And you have current total of 19 apps. Maybe you are able to sideload apps because this is an Android, but that's security story all on its own, and I'm not going to be covering that side. Plus, because it's not a Google Play certified device, it's not something that's going to be able to fully integrate with apps that rely on Google Play services. Finally, we have settings. And in settings, you, of course, if you want to make use of the AI features, you need to create ViWoods account and then log into it. And then you have your regular things. So you have wireless connectivity, Bluetooth as well. You can change the language. Currently, it's just Chinese and English. You have display control, which is very limited. You can set your text size and you auto lock time. That's it. Then you have general, again really limited, because all you can set here is date and time formatting and wallpaper and signature, and reset AIPaper. That's it. That's your general stuff. In security, you can set your passcode and a fingerprint for locking and unlocking. You get the about information on the device here. And you also get the updating modes. That's it. There's no pan calibration, customizing of the functionality of the buttons. There's no virtual keyboard settings. There's nothing. Like, this is it. The buttons on the bottom, when I press back, it will go back. I can also use this to go back to home. I can long press the middle one to have the task manager open up and hopefully not close on me, right? So you can access your recently accessed apps, or you can clear them out to release a little bit of RAM. And then you have the AI button, which will work only if you are logged into the ViWoods account. So a single press will bring up the ChatGPT messenger thing, and then you can just send it a message and you can say hello, and it will be polite and it will tell you, I'm thinking, hello, how can I assist you today, right? Or you can use the additional thing, which is long press, and then it will automatically go into the listening mode, and it will capture the voice, transcribe that into textual query, send it to ChatGPT, and communicate it that way. And that works like this. Hello, which version of ChatGPT are you? And then it's converting, so it's 4 seconds converting. I'm based on OpenAI's ChatGPT 3.5 architecture. How can I help you today? What? That's odd, because yesterday when I did ask it, it did say that it was ChatGPT 4. So let's try again. Yesterday when I asked, I got the answer that you were based on ChatGPT 4. Are you sure? So I apologize for any confusion. I'm based on ChatGPT 3.5, but if you were asking about newer features or capabilities, it's possible that the context has changed since my last update. However, I do not have live updates or access to information beyond October 2023. If you're using a platform that integrates with ChatGPT 4, it may provide different capabilities. Please let me know how I can assist you. Well, there you go. So that's the general AI functionality that you have here. The problem with it is that it's just ChatGPT that is not aware of the AIPaper's existence, because its knowledge of the world stops at October 2023, before this device was even announced or anything like that. So if you wanted to use this for anything remotely useful, so for example, do you know what device I'm talking to you from? I don't have access to information about specific device that you're using to interact with me, right? So in reality, if I had device-specific questions or a user manual related question, or something like that, you are unable to provide assistance. I can still provide assistance with device-specific questions or general user manual inquiries based on common knowledge and information. Why I may not know the specific device you're using, feel free to describe the issue, which is fine. It's trying to do its best, but I have to pose the question here: if the device is called AIPaper and it is connected to AI, but the AI is completely unaware of which device it is working on, that to me is a complete waste of using AI in a device. Because shouldn't it be the role of AI to integrate with the device's functionalities so that I can tell it, hi, can you set up a meeting notes in the calendar for tomorrow? And then it tries its best, but it has no integration with the device itself. It has no integration or awareness with the apps themselves. So we have an AIPaper device that has AI functionalities simply as a layer on top that has no awareness, no connection, and no understanding of the device itself. That, to me, is a hugely missed opportunity. And for a device that is AI centered and it contains AI in its name, this has completely missed the mark. And if I was grading the AI integration capabilities, I would have to grade it as a big fat F, because it has missed the mark completely. There's one more thing that I wanted to cover that I missed out on, and that is this menu here that can be brought out only by using the pen. So you can't use the finger to bring it out. It has to be the pen, and only in most of the situations you can, but for example, if you're in pickings, you can't do it. So this brings out basically overlay type of actions that allow you system-wide to basically capture or jot down anything on top of anything else. So let's first start with the record. Record is like a quick jot down notebook that just like a post-it that pops up, and then you can just write stuff down on it. So this is my stuff. Yeah, it's really unpleasant to write with the harder one, but I have to because the other one went off. So I can change the brush options. I can turn it to be transparent for some reason. I guess if I have content underneath that I would like to read, and then I can just write down things or reference to it. You got the calligraphy, the ballpoint, and the marker brushes available. Normal erasers, text box that you can use normally. The marquee selection that has all of the regular functionalities and all of the AI functionalities that you would have in a notebook as well. You have the ability to insert an image. You have the ability to insert a page. You have the ability to remove a page from this quick note thing. And no, this is not intentional. This is a bug that I was talking about. So that is that remnants that the system is simply not refreshing properly, and it's just like now constantly doing that. And you also can use the AI assistant and text conversion. And basically what that does is sends this as a PNG to the ChatGPT, and then you can use it in further conversation with the AI assistant, or you can perform AI text conversion. And then you can of course add this, and then when it's saved, it is saved and cleared. And let's clear this bug here by doing a refresh. The other function that's very useful, or two of them, is for example crop. So in the crop, I can make a selection here of the content that's on the screen. And in this case, this is a Kobo book, but it could be an article, it could be a drawing, it could be an image, it could be whatever you want, whatever you have on the screen currently. And here you can perform specific actions, such as you can share it as a PDF or a PNG. You can insert it into, I believe, you can save it as an image, you can do text OCR, you can perform AI actions, which is recognize content, brief summary, and just copy paste it into AI Assistant and continue onwards from there. And the insert thing is basically just crops it as a PNG and puts it into the jot down type of a thing. Although I again have this bug still happening, so I have to refresh, but there we go. So then I have that one, and now I can continue. Here I can add more observations. Okay, and then I can just click save. Then saving data saves. Okay, what did it do? But it just saved. Where's my writing? I don't get it. So what did it save? I just gotta check what did it do. So it saved it in pickings. So it saved two versions. It saved one without the writing, and then it saved one with the writing. But when I saved it, it deleted the writing. Cool. Top quality, man. Then we have the final one, which is also actually quite useful, but to a limited degree, but it is useful because it works well, and that's annotate. And you can think of this as like a transparent layer on top of any content that you have. So whatever you write, it's not content aware. It doesn't understand what's underneath it or anything, so you're writing on top of it. But the writing is very quick and good, right? And then you can also maybe underline some things. You can maybe say here, let's say this part, blah, 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 blah. So I'm basically jotting down in super fast fashion content from a third-party app, which can be anything that's available on the platform, which is a limited selection because this is not a Google Play certified device. But in this case, yes, I can use it on Kindle, I can use it on a Kobo, I can use it on a web page because it has a browser, so I can do those things. So what can you do with this? Well, you have the regular selection of pens here, so you can jot things down, you can erase it, you can share it, and then you can also you can share it as a PDF and PNG, I believe, and then you can save it, and then it's saved again to pickings, right? But once you save it, it's gone. It's basically erased from where you are. So what you need to know is that as soon as you enter any of these modes, basically the overlay actions are on top, and you can no longer interact with whatever is underneath it. And the reason for that is that it has made a snapshot of the content that was there, and there's you are not seeing the app itself anymore. You're just seeing a screenshot PNG of the state of the screen that was there beforehand, and now you're writing on top of that PNG, of that image. So that's all that this technology is doing. So you can't really do much more than that. So all of these three actions, record, annotate, and crop, they will be recorded in the pickings folder, and they will be recorded in either pickings or screenshots. So from what I understand, crop and annotations are recorded in the screenshots, and they're recorded as PNG files, and then you can further on share them. You can insert them as an image into another notebook, or you can do AI recognition actions to it. So recognize content, brief summary, AI assistant, right? Regular stuff by now. And you can also use extract text, where it was going to try and do AI text recognition, and then you can further on do something with that. text. Crop works like this, so it just cropped this one, exact same actions. So it's the same thing. It's just simply what it allows you to do before it captures a PNG and then puts it into a screenshot. And once it's there, then it has certain types of actions that you can perform on a PNG file and certain types of actions that you can perform on these, I assume, native type files that it's using. And these are basically from the record, yes. So now let's get on to the reader functionality. And the number one question would be like, okay, how do I get documents into my tablet? So all of the reader stuff is happening in the library, or what they're calling learning. So you can access it by using this icon or just tapping directly here. So now you can see that I already have some documents. How did I get them in? Well, I just simply plugged in a USB cable to the device, plugged it into my computer. It appeared as a USB drive. I dragged and dropped, and hey presto, everything worked. However, if you click on this button, import files, and if you go out of the library, you will also see that you have the same import icon files. It gets you to the same place. It says, go to ViWoods, my.vwoods.com, log into Y-transfer to import files, yada, yada, yada. And it took me a while to figure out how this is supposed to work. All right, so this is how the ViWoods or myvwoods.com V-transfer interface looks like on a PC, on a web browser, but it's very, very similar on the mobile as well. And basically, the problem that I do have is that no matter what I do, I can't get things to just synchronize between the device and this. Apparently, it's just memorizing and memorizing things for 24 hours or 30 minutes or whatever. That's an intentional thing, for safety and privacy. And then it's gone, automatically deleted from the server, which is fine. But it doesn't work like Remarkable or anything like that. There's no automatic synchronization. You have to do everything in a step-by-step manner. And the way that it works is you have to be already very much aware of what each subcategory is, because you can't move content once it's uploaded into a certain type of content and received by the device. That's it. You can't move it because there's no file browsing operations, and you would have to perform the whole thing. So if you miss basically the folder where you're importing it, that's it. You can't move it. You have to re-import it again using this kind of thing. Of course, you can always plug in the USB drive and cable and then put it in there that way, but yeah. So let's say that I wanted to use and upload an MMP, right? Well, normally you would want to add that to learning, right? Where the reading is, but no, don't do that. Because where you actually want that is in paper, because that's where the hyperlinked PDF files actually retain hyperlinked functionality. Go figure. But that's where you want to import that kind of stuff. So importing of documents works like this. You select the destination and the type of document where you want to import it. Then I do import, and then it says like, what do you want to import, PDF or a PNG? I want to import a PDF document. Okay, I'm going to confirm. Now it's going to tell me, hey, there you go. Where do you want to go? So now I need to navigate to where my document is, and let's say that I want this one. I'm going to open it up, and it's uploaded, right? Well, no. It's only uploaded to the V-transfer, and at this point, it's doing nothing with the device at all. So the device is here, and it understands nothing. The tricky thing is that you have one more step, which is you select which of the contents you want to send to the device. So in this case, MMP, and then I say sync. And then you choose what do you want to sync it with, and I want to sync it with this AIPaper. I confirm, and now when this is going to be done, shortly I should get, I think, at some point, there we go, you get the received thing, and only when you received it, then it's going to be actually downloaded, copied. There we go. So transfer is done. And now if I go back into papers, here I should have somewhere my MMP. There it is, right? Well, I've pressed something, and yeah, there it is. So that's how your transferring of files works on the ViWoods platform. Sending stuff, I really have tried, and I've tried syncing and stuff. I never could get any of it to appear anywhere here. I can only see things that I have sent and uploaded, but nothing that I've sent from the device outwards. It says that it's been sent. To whom and where, I do not know. All right, and additionally, you also have information by using the app ViWoods. You can import or export documents this way. So if you go to import, it will just tell you the same thing. However, if you go to export, you will be able to export either a full-on folder by tapping here, select it, and then you go export, or you can go inside a folder and then select individual files, and then you export them that way. And it exports them in native format, but I've never managed to get this to work, as in it does export. It does say send, right? So I've tried here to send stuff, and it didn't send, but where it sent them, to whom it sent them, I don't know, because these are most definitely not appearing on the my.vwoods.com account where I logged into. So where that goes, I don't really know. It went somewhere, but who now has them? I don't know. The key button that you really want to know about is this one, I here, information. Because as far as I've seen, this is the only resource of information of how you're supposed to do these things. So you can see like operation details for import, and then it goes logging to AIPaper, then and it doesn't work because it says like not logged in. Not true, I am logged in. Then you go log into computer or phone, and you can do the same actions on phone or your computer browser, import a file, and this part is really not intuitive because it just says like import file, and that's not true, because what you have to do, as I've shown, is you have to select and do these things in on a per file basis, which is kind of strange. Once you figure it out, yes, it works. You don't have to be in the app. I can just go to the dashboard there, send the files, and I will get the query here, receive the files, and then I receive them, and that's that. However, I've made a mistake, and I've transferred one of the files. I've transferred them, this one. So for example, this I wanted to transfer to the documents, but I accidentally transferred it to the papers folder in the app. That's where it was received. And if I wanted to simply just move this to my library, there isn't an option. You can't move files at all on this one. I don't have access to my system files. Furthermore, if I go to apps, a normal thing would be to have file browser. I don't have a file browser here, and I don't have a file browser, or I don't have system file browsing option on the tablet at all. So that means that I have to rely, for organizing all of my files, I have to completely rely on the library functionalities. And that is a very unfortunate thing, because current state of the library is completely dysfunctional. What do I mean by that? Well, you do have a sort option here, and it says view options and recent. So if I wanted to change this option to list and confirm, well, now it works. Yesterday it didn't work. Then I would restart it, and then it didn't work, and then I restarted it, and now it works again. So it's a very, very unreliable kind of thing, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Today is a lucky day, I guess, and it's, not camera shy, so it's bringing up its best. Yep, all of it is now functioning as it should. So that's a good thing. There is no way to organize any of your library content into folders or bookshelves. And that to me makes it completely almost completely useless. I've already mentioned that when you are viewing the documents in the Reader app, that there are some image quality issues. And apart from the obvious darkness here, you can also see that the rendering of the characters here is not nowhere nearly as good or as precise as it was in the Kobo app. And it doesn't matter if it's zoomed in or not, it's just all the way the same. Now you may think like, okay, well, you just adjust the contrast here, but the contrast is grayed out and I can't do anything with the contrast adjustment in the native app. It's like, okay, these are annotating options. So you have the fountain pen, have the Vol calligraphy pen, ballpoint pen, and a highlighter, right? And you have your strokes here, then you have your eraser that can work just as an eraser pen, region, or all. And then you have undo and redo. And that's it as far as the annotation goes. Annotations. Work fine, right? So you're able to annotate the documents in a good way. And also you have the highlighter, but it's not an intelligent highlighter, so you can't just, select things like that, and it's not content aware, so you just use it on a regular basis, and then that exports in the color that you've chosen, right? So that part semi okay-ish. Let's try and do this. Okay, so that makes it a bit easier. And let's say I made the selection here. It's very, very tricky to adjust this. There's no magnifier or anything like that. And it's very, very unresponsive. So, but okay, let's say that's that. So I have options to share the selection. I can copy it, and if I copy it, it will tell me you can paste it onto a paper or notebook, meeting, and picking. So that's only places where you can paste the copied content, and the selection is now reset. So the selecting of the words here is not basically for annotations or for underlining or document markup of any kind, which is what I would expect. So I can't choose to underline this and make it as an annotation that I can add more notes and marks or remarks that normally I associate with these types of operations. No, this is simply a selection tool that gives you the ability to share, copy, or make an AI query where you can say like, oh, give me main points of this, which is basically copy the text, send it to ChatGPT, and it gives you that, or Word Encyclopedia, which does the same thing to the ChatGPT. And usability of it is some. So depending on the matter that you're working with, it will be able to give you some usability. So there is that part that needs to be acknowledged. The navigation is by tapping to the sides. I mean, you can swipe as well, and the navigation is mostly fine. You can pinch to zoom, but the responsiveness is very limited. And as you can see, when I zoom in, the rendering quality of characters is starting to be completely abysmal. I mean, this is simply unacceptable to see on a device that we've already seen is able to produce perfectly crisp, sharp, and thin characters. And this is what the native app is doing. As you can see, the gesture control is kind of there, but it's really not something that I feel connected to. When you zoom in, you can pan by using 2 fingers. So you are able to reposition this, and then you can do this, but what you can't do is you can't zoom in and then pan. That does not, well, yeah, I mean, that's not something that I would characterize as functional. Then we have the table of contents for the documents that do have table of contents. Then you have the connection to the annotations or the notebooks that have annotations, which is basically every page where you've made some markings, be it highlighter or writing or both, they are listed here, so you can do that, but you can't really search them, you can't rename them, you can't export them, you can delete them. That's that's what you can do. So you can delete the notes and then those are gone, but the markings stay. So I'm really confused, like what does it, oh no, it didn't, it went away, but you need to refresh it. Okay, so yeah, you have that option as far as the annotation management goes. But for an AI paper tablet, wouldn't you expect more functionality and something more modern and more flexible than this? We have way more on any books tablet than this. Then you have the display control, where you have zoom, HD display, noise, and if it's not thick and horrible enough for you, then you can embolden the font even more. You have the bookmarking ability, so you can bookmark the page, and it's always a two-step operation, so you have to add a bookmark there. Then we have AI operations, which basically sends the document to the ChatGPT and it gives you the summary of main points, core idea, and related works. So this is a point where the AI integration does make sense, and it is a promising and a genuinely useful thing, especially for research and learning type of capabilities. However, it would have been even better if you were able to go a step further. So for example, related works, right? And it's going to give me a list eventually, a list of what was basically used. So for example, well, it gave me a very different response, because yesterday it was a much more usable response. This one is not really good. Yesterday it gave me a much better response. So that's something to keep in mind, that you can't really rely that you're gonna, maybe it has to do with today it's using a ChatGPT 3.5 and yesterday it used ChatGPT 4, because I'm definitely seeing different responses today. The search functions, it's a word search. So basically if you perform a search, then it does like this, but don't be confused, because I was confused when I was basically typing, I don't know, geology. I would expect that the enter would perform the search. It doesn't. It just adds a new line, which doesn't make any sense in the context of entering a search. You have to tap on the icon and then it will, create the search, and then it will perform the search normally. Of course, it's not aware of the handwriting stuff, the handwriting annotations in a document, so it's not gonna search that. Finally, there's also the option of sharing and exporting, and now it's generating a share link, and then you get to the point where you're able to see that the only thing that you can share from this tablet is a single page as a PNG, and you can share that via QR code, email, V-transfer, or Bluetooth, but you can't share the document. You can't there's no way to make a selection of maybe pages that you want. There's no way to print it, nothing. That's it. That's what you get. And it's really bug-ridden. I mean, for example, I'm trying to access mydeepguide here and I tap on it and then it's just keeps opening the other document constantly. So maybe I can just go into the library and maybe open it up. Will it get it now? I think it will. Yeah, cool. So open this up, right? So does it support hyperlinks? The reader does not support hyperlinks. And if you're planning to use an organizer in the reader, you can't. But you can use it on this device, but in the notebooks. We'll show that as well. However, if I wanted to, for example, go back here and use a document, a user manual that has lots of pages of, all of these are hyperlinks that will jump me to a chapter, right? So let's say I want to work with morph groups. I can't do that. It's a very large document. What? Seriously? The writing experience on the AIPaper is really, really good. One of the top 5, I would absolutely characterize it, if maybe even one of the top 3, mainly because that Carta flexible screen, the plastic surface that's not offering so much hardness back and resistance, just lends itself to a much, much better writing experience. However, as I've explored on this channel, writing experience is a very complicated beast that comprises out of many, many layers, but that is the contact surface, and what you're writing with is also an important point. So the soft nib is good. The amortization of the pen really adds to that overall feel. But then we also have the performance of the screen and the performance of the device, and that means that, well, you'll see the results here. Desktop test results reveal that the personal impression of it being very, very responsive and super, super quick is actually very accurate, because AIPaper has only 23.34 milliseconds of writing latency, which is really, really good. While testing and performing the desktop test, it has revealed that the AIPaper writing latency is extremely consistent, and no matter how many repetitions I made, it just remained perfectly smooth and perfectly consistent, which is an excellent thing to see. The absence of the front light and the use of the Carta flexible panel means that the surface to ink or screen distance is very, very low, and that has been confirmed when doing this test, because it is below 0.5 millimeters, which makes it really, really good, and it makes the the impression of the content almost at the surface of the screen, which definitely lends itself extremely well for writing type of tasks and experience, but it also lends itself really, really well for reading type of scenarios. When performing the surface resistance test, it is also quite good, which again explains why the writing feel on the AIPaper is so good, because AIPaper surface has 63.37 surface resistance of a real piece of paper, and that just makes it feel that much more authentic. So it does make sense that it's actually all the way up here. It's not as much as Go 10.3, but it's definitely in that upper echelon of devices that do tend to feel exceptionally good when writing. The precision and quality of writing is very, very good. As you can see, it has post-processing, but it's not blinky or distracting like you see it on the Remarkable Paper Pro, for example. It's very, very discreet. It's not doing anti-aliasing. As you can see, we have a little bit of aliasing here. It's good that it's precise out of the box, because as I've already noted, there's no pen calibration option, and the comfort and overall feel is excellent. Not everything is perfect. There are issues, and the main issue is if you pay attention to the nib, and as I start adding pressure, look how much it bends. And just disregard that it's creating a straight line here. What we're talking about is the bending of the nib. That is not going to last, and that is not a good design. So while the initial feel is very, very good and very, very pleasant, there are design issues with these nibs. So okay, if there are issues with the default pen, can you use a proper pen? For example, Kindle Scribe Premium pen? Thankfully, yes. You can definitely use it, and it performs really, really well. And if I then go to a pressure sensitive brush, now you can see that there's quite a bit of a difference in how it performs, and I can see that the device itself and the brushes are the ones that are not calibrated properly now that I'm using a proper brush. Because look at this, I'm using the same type of pressure, and each time I approach, I get extremely different types of results. It's either way too sensitive or it just is not consistent. But thankfully, all of the issues that I mentioned are not present, of the bending of the nib and things like that. Not an issue when using a good pen, right? And the writing experience just becomes even better when you're using a better pen. Right, let's cover the notebook functionality here and what are the options that you have. So let's start with the notebook creation. So you have the big plus sign or the plus icon here. Either one you create, you tap, you get to the creation panel here, and I can say my test. Okay, no, I do keep struggling with that the shift goes into numbers. Probably my fault, but still, it's a little bit annoying. Test notebook. It is responsive, so that works. And then I can choose from a big choice of templates that you have here. So these are all of the templates that you have, all of this. That's everything that you get, but you also have the ability to import templates as PNG files. Resolution is 1920 by 2560, which is the native resolution of the panel or the device itself. Name your paper, and it just changed my name. Oh, whatever. There, that's my name. So I'm going to use lined medium and create. And actually it changes the name when you use a different template. That's what it did. It changed the name of the notebook, but you wouldn't know that because here where the name is, it just says name. It just says date, which is great, the creation date, but the name is there. And if I go into here, this is the name of the notebook, right? So if I go here, I'm gonna say like, who are you, right? Who are you? That's the name of my notebook. I'm gonna give it a question mark and see if it accepts special characters as names. It does. Let's see. So that's my name. It's not reflected here. It has a side panel that again heavily borrows from the remarkable user interface. So the options that you have is you have your pen options, you have your calligraphy pen, fountain pen, ballpoint pen, fine liner, and a pencil, and it says pencil again, but this is not a pencil, this is a highlighter. So there's some bugginess going on here. So these are the examples of the calligraphy, fountain, ballpoint, fine liner, pens, pencil, and highlighter. Important things to consider are that the only the fine liner pen is not pressure sensitive, and only the pencil, graphite pencil, is tilt sensitive and aware. But a combination of this nib, the bendiness, and just the overall thing is, yeah, does it have tilt support? Yes. Is it something that I would enjoy using? Absolutely not. This nib is just turning into a big mess more I try and use it. And another thing to know is that the highlighter is additive, so it adds on top of other content, or well, let me just double check if it adds on top of the black. It adds on top of itself, but yes, it adds on top of this one, and as any additive one, each additive layer adds more. As an eraser, you have an option to erase it as a pen, so you can just erase it like this, right? Or you can use a circle erase, so like this, or you can erase all. Now the eraser itself, you can use it as a button, and then that works, or you can use it as the rear thing, which also tends to work. However, it really requires a lot of pressure, and my problem is that, for example, if I set my eraser to be a region eraser, the button for erasing doesn't work as a region eraser, works as a regular eraser, right? So just as an eraser pen. Another issue that I've experienced is that from time to time, the notebook will bug out and the refresh mode will fail. That's definitely a software issue, but the problem is that if I start erasing, right, like this, it's not going to display what has been erased. So you see that blink thing? So you can see it only when you're erasing additive stuff, right? Like there. And then it blinks. That operation is not performed at some point, and I am able to now simulate it. Good. So this is something that you can definitely see. So I'm erasing as much as I can. Erase, erase, erase. I'm trying my best, right? So I'm trying to erase, and it's not doing it, seemingly. However, if I go to a refresh, it is erased. It has been erased, but the device is not updating the screen protocols properly. Obviously software issues, but something that you need to be aware of. And as I mentioned in the beginning, it's like the long-term support and the ability of the team to actually address and deliver a fully functional, stable product that is a challenge. Text boxes that function completely normally like you would expect any other text box, and you can use the AI to send the text from that to an AI query, and the queries that you can make is explain or grammar and spelling. You can cut it, you can copy it, and this button here allows you to just focus on it and start typing directly. In the AI functionality, it has several functions, and for that I'm going to go to one of the previous pages, or if this is a page that I have, so the AI would be able to analyze the content, which means that it sends this to as an image to ChatGPT. It performs OCR, and then it gives you the content analysis, right? So handwritten note discusses testing of the AI capabilities, etc. The cool thing here is that you can change what the AI query is directly from this box, so you don't have to exit and then enter again. So you can change this automatically, so you can generate an article from this. And if you've ever used ChatGPT, it's very, very wordy and kind of like a sales pitch all the time. I really dislike that type of narrative, and that we're training the AI to be like a virtual salesman here. I really hate that. But anyway, then you have AI text conversion. So then it can convert to text, but using AI, which means that it's very, very precise, and it will perform automatically spell checking and all of that kind of stuff, right? And it says that here's the text extracted from the image. That's how I know that what the device does is takes a screenshot, sends the image of your handwriting to the OpenAI servers. They perform the OCR recognition and then send back stuff to you. And you have an additional thing, which is AI assistant. This is just a general thing, right? So this is basically what happens. So it takes this image, and then you can send it to the ChatGPT, and then analyzes it, and then you can start a conversation based on that image that has been sent. One thing that's really interesting is that you can add up to 5 customizable commands, and you can customize the detailed command to send to AI, and then you can organize it with a display command, right? So I can, for example, say generate a title from content, and then it's gonna go and generate title, and my command was there, generate a title with 100 characters maximum, and then it does that, right? Then I can do SEO hook. So now it's going to perform a test. It's going to be interesting to see when it's using ChatGPT 3.5 what it comes up with, because there's definitely a big difference in what I see happens, and the difference in performance as well, because the 4 was much faster. All right, so that's the SEO hook, and I gave him like a calculate option, which is just a command, calculate what can be calculated from the content submitted, right? And for that, if you send an image or a page, it says like, yeah, I don't have anything to calculate here from. But if I flip to a page here where I do have some calculations, and then I tell it, hey, calculate, then it should provide for not only calculations, but also the explanation and insights regarding the operations that it has done. And there you go, it does that in a proper way. Long press and hold. So you have to remove it and then add another one. I can't just edit the query. That's very inconvenient. However, the bigger problem here is that the AI query is only on a per page basis. The AI query is simply creating a screenshot of the current page and sending that there, and that's it. So therefore, there's no ability to send the content of an entire notebook to an AI and then create a query from that, which severely limits the usability of the AI functionality features, which are very promising, but it's on a per page basis, which is extremely limiting. Then we have the selection tool. So the marquee selection tool, you select your text. There you can perform your standard transform operations. You can move it, you can scale it, you can cut it, you can copy it, you can convert it to a text box. You can change the English or the language that you can use for conversion, for text conversion, and these are the languages that you can choose from currently. You can delete it, and you can perform an AI task on it, where it will create it can explain it, it can create an AI text conversion, and it can do the grammar and spelling check. We got tag system, which is useful, and it's completely lifted off from Remarkable, like really, really shameless ripoff. However, as I mentioned, the tag system is not system-wide, it's just on papers, and it doesn't transfer to any other document type, which again makes it extremely, extremely limiting. We have page management here, where you can do a long press to select multiple pages, and then you can perform different operations. The operations are very, very limited. You can share it, you can set a single page can be moved left and right, and it could be set as a cover, and multiple pages can be shared, and then you can share them as PDF or PNG as well, and you can share them via these methods down here. And of course, you can delete them as well. Then we have the layer control, where you can change your template as the base layer. Then we have also the dedicated button for changing the template, exact same functionality. Have a dedicated page for adding a new page, like here, because if you reach the ending here, they've copied the bad thing of Remarkable as well, which is that the swipe will give you an icon for exactly the same icon in the exact same place, exact same behavior. It's just too much. But they went like, okay, well, you can tap a page and then it gives you. Granted, yes, you can do that, but why do we have to have this? I don't really fully understand. And then you have more function, whereas AI test, that's the renaming of the notebook. You can lock the notebook and you can share the entire notebook. And when you share it, you can share current page, all pages, PNG, PDF, or as a text file, where it will perform a conversion and send it as a text file. And finally, the bottom button here hides or shows the layer here. You can't just tap on the numbers here to expose the page management menu, which is unfortunate, but that's how that is. And the button on top exits from the notebook. That's the notebook, right? P, which is basically planners. And if you want your documents to support hyperlinks and be used as planners, this is where you need to import your PDF files. So remember when I opened up MDO, then it didn't work in the library, it didn't support hyperlinks? Well, when you just transfer a PDF file into the planner mode of the paper, then all of the hyperlinks work as you would expect them to, right? And the rendering is actually very, very nice, and it's very precise. So we don't have the issues of the rendering of fonts or anything. You can see that we have very, very sharp rendering here. Unfortunately, we don't have pinch to zoom functionality, and no, there is no rotation option here. So the whole AIPaper thing, it can't go landscape or portrait mode. You can make normal entries, right? And I can say that after 3 days of using this nib, it is now starting to fall apart. It is losing the precision completely, so I'm going to be switching to the scribe pen because it works well. Very, very well. Yes, you can have hyperlinked support in documents, but not in your document reader and in your library. Only in the notebook option, which is kind of great, and you have all of your AI queries functionalities here, and you don't have any of those functionality in a library. So I would rather have this than that. So that is a good option, but it is very, very confusing that how it works. Yes, you can use hyperlinked organizers such as MDO, My Daily Organizer, or MMP, both of which you can find on mydeepguide.com/shop, which helps support the independence of MyDeepGuide. Plug that bad boy! So now I'm going to quickly go over the other functionalities, such as the daily or the calendar. It has a monthly view, a weekly view as well. It shows the current week or month, depending on where you are, and it shows the current day as well. You also have the ability to switch to viewing just the current tasks or notes that are available to you, if there are any that are added. And on each day you can choose to have tasks and notes. So for example, on a previous day I had no notes, but I had tasks that were there. And here as well you have this is the option to remove a notes page, right? So you can remove the current page, because you can have multiple pages of tasks, and you can have multiple pages of notes that are associated with that day. The AI button as well is able to create an organize or a daily report. So organize from here, I don't know what it's gonna say, because it's not consistent. So it says it figures out different things at different points in time. So yeah, it gives you categorized lists of your tasks that you can then copy or you can share. So I guess that's the only functional option of that. Then you have daily report, which does the same thing but gives you observations, next step, and it tries to kind of figure stuff out to help you out in some way. You also will notice that there's an icon here, and that's basically meetings. So you can have multiple meetings, and it says like meetings and then a number, right? So you can tap on that icon, and then if you have meetings that are associated with that day, you will have a list of these meetings, and then you can just tap on it and it will open up a meeting notebook. Basically, meetings are dedicated notebooks that have a set of templates that you can use, different types of templates. You can see different types of dedicated templates that are here. Same type of icon, same type of functionalities that we've had in a notebook. So just a little bit more limited selection sets, and the AI functionality is more custom tailored to what you are expected to have at meeting minutes, figuring out meeting minutes, and an AI assistant. And also again, you have the ability to add 5 custom AI commands there. But unfortunately, the tags do not share over from notebooks for whatever reason. So the whole meeting and day and calendar organizing system is separate from notebooks or papers, which doesn't really make too much sense. We can rename it, lock it, share it, or reassociate to a different day. Today I don't have anything, but if I switch to yesterday, you will see that it's going to show me the meeting, the tasks at least here, and I could flip pages directly from the start page. It would have been nice to actually see meetings as well in there that you can access, but you have meetings here, so you can access the meetings right from this panel as well. Then we get to I'm skipping the email client. I'm not going to share my email credentials with this device in service. And we have apps, and as I mentioned in the beginning, no Google Play Store, only 19 apps currently available, so very limited options, but you do have some apps at your disposal. So for example, I've already showed Kobo, but you also have maybe New York Times. Rendering quality is really, really good of the characters themselves. Even the image rendering is quite good, and thankfully the contrast control, because it's an external app, works. And of course you can use the fast mode for faster, and this is the ultra fast mode of refreshing as well. You do have the option of using the Chrome as your browser, but yeah, at first it gets confused sometimes. Sometimes it asks me, hey, where's your Google Play service thing? and then it decides like, okay, fine, you don't have to have it. I'm not going to spend time on just browsing and stuff like that. It works like a Chrome. And here is the addendum and clarification of things that I have asked ViWoods, and they have replied, so I'm just going to include them for the completeness sake. Question number 1 was in relation to the screen refresh issues, and they say we are currently in the pre-shipment debugging phase. A new official software version will be released in a couple of days that specifically address the screen refresh issues you've encountered. We encourage you to update to this version once it's available for an improved experience. Okay, good. Seems like they are on top of it. Second question was in relation to the is AIPaper in the system, is it capable of performing a word search or content search of handwritten content? And the reply is currently only content that has been converted to text can be searched. Our system supports searching titles and tags. We plan to add the ability to search converted content in our software upgrade scheduled in November. Question number 3 for me, or comment number 3, was regarding the whole library thing, that sometimes it is able to sort things properly, sometimes it's not, and that it's not possible to organize things into folders or into shelves. So their reply is, thank you for your suggestion regarding the library sorting and display options. We're actively working on optimizing the library module to enhance the overall user experience. Your feedback helps us identify areas for improvement, and we appreciate your patience as we refine the feature. Fourth one is in regards to file management, and they say like, we recognize the need for robust file management capabilities. We are still in the process of developing these features. Our goal is to strengthen the learning modules for functionality and provide users with a more organized way to manage their content. The contrast adjustment question was in relation to that it works in third-party apps, but it doesn't work in native apps. Initially, we allowed for global contrast adjustments, but we later restricted this to third-party applications, which why? However, we understand the necessity of having global contrast control, and this feature will be reinstated in the latest software update. We appreciate your understanding as we work to enhance this functionality. Okay, so I'm not crazy, because I remember that it worked and then it didn't, and then yeah, okay, so they're like flipping the switch on off. And the final question was in relation to AI tasks for the entire notebook contents, not just on a per page, because that is an extreme limitation for such type of functionality. And they say currently AI reading supports only single page content to ensure accuracy. However, we are excited to inform you that by mid-October we will enable the reading of up to 5 pages in the meeting module only. We are also planning to expand this capability further in the future, allowing for more extensive AI processing across various modules. Okie dokie. And that's it. I've tried to make a more or less complete overview, or as complete as I could make it, of the AIPaper. So let's move on to the conclusion. So let's start with the cons as usual, and the first con would be the build quality of this pre-production unit. So that is a very big thing to keep in mind, because this is not a finished production unit, and they do say, they're adamant that they're constantly improving things. So things that I've reacted to build quality may very well be completely non-existent in final production units, but I have to bring you the state of things that I see before me and that I have in my own hands. The current state of the operating system. So while the operating system in general is okay, so there's some overcomplication of things that's unnecessary, and there's lots of stuff that's like meh, but the state of it is extremely buggy, which again reflects the very early pre-production state of things. So this is not the final state of the operating system. The device is not out yet, so that also has to be kept in mind. But as such, again, I have to present the state of things as I see them before me right now. Another con would be that this is not a Google Play certified device, which severely limits the usability or integration of this tablet into your existing pipeline. So for example, while it does have a perfectly well-functioning calendar with meetings and stuff like that, you can't synchronize it and integrate it with Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar. So that right there is just one example. Then we also have the unnecessary separation of functionalities, for example, such as notebook pickings and meetings, that they're separate ecosystems, that they don't integrate with each other. tags are not system-wide, but they're locked to notebooks and calendar, for example. The libraries management system, if I'm kind, I can describe it as severely limited, but in reality, my own perception is that it's currently dysfunctional. The AI integration, I think for me, is the biggest negative here, because it is a completely missed opportunity. And as I've discussed in the AI chapter, I'm not going to repeat myself, but please do rewatch it if you're interested in, or you've skipped the video and went to the conclusion only. You should definitely watch that, because while it does have promise, absolutely it has promise, and it absolutely has some usable aspects of it, but I think that it absolutely 1000% completely missed the mark. The capacitive buttons at the bottom of the device do interfere from time to time when writing, which is annoying. The cover and pen magnets are very weak. Then there's also the issue that I've encountered during my writing battery test, that the device is overheating, and that just leads me to believe that it's not able to manage the heat or distribute the heat out of the device in a good way, and it's not using the metal edge or the metal frame as an effective heatsink. And that also brings me to another one, which if it starts overheating to a point where I can feel it through the screen and through the bottom of the device, what happens if the battery is also heating up while it's being charged? Then you have two heating sources in a confined space like that, that's obviously not able to manage. So it seems that the heat management, at least in this unit, is an issue. The Wi-Fi signal stability and strength is weak. This is something that I've talked about. I've shown in the unboxing and first impressions, so I'm just simply covering it here as well. They did mention that they will implement a crystal that should improve that, but again, I'm delivering the information to you as it is before me now. There's also the thing that I mentioned at the beginning, which is I think that the long-term support and risk when taking on a device like this from a manufacturer that we don't know nothing about and that doesn't have a history, and it's using a Kickstarter campaign with a budget that doesn't really make much business sense at all. Those are all red and yellow flags, and they basically equate to, even if the device is delivered, which is the best case scenario in a Kickstarter campaign, people often forget that you need to continue using that device, and that's just the beginning of the journey for the user, and that's where the ability of the team to have long-term support and supply long-term support is a risk. All right, now let's get on to the pros of the AIPaper. And first of all, it has absolutely excellent writing feel. No going back about it. Like any pen that you use, even this pen, even though the nib does have issues, as you've seen, it starts bending and things like that. And also, yeah, that should have been a negative. I forgot to mention that the nib of the pen is weird. But yeah, the excellent writing feel with any pen included is undeniable on the AIPaper. It also has excellent writing latency, it has excellent surface to screen distance, and it has excellent battery life. The screen is Carta flexible screen, which definitely contributes to the already mentioned excellent writing feel, but it also comes with a 300 ppi display, which, when paired with the proper software that's able to actually render the content properly to the panel, it actually is able to provide for an excellent image quality, but that is an important one, because currently the default library in this device is not able to do that. It just delivers really, really bad image quality. But thankfully, if you switch to Kobo or Kindle, or you're using Chrome for browsing or anything like that that's provided to you, the image quality really is very, very good. It is able to use hyperlinked PDF files as notebooks really, really easily without the need to convert it like you have to on the Supernote platform, for example. While the AI, I still maintain, is a completely missed opportunity, some elements are genuinely useful, especially when dealing with processing of documents or learning or doing research, things like that. Then it really can lend itself to be properly useful, depending on which ChatGPT model you get that day, because as we've seen, it varies between today I'm going to be 3.5, tomorrow I'm going to be 4. Who knows? Although unoriginal, the overall design of the device is nice. It is quite light and very, very thin, and the cover, despite it having its fair share of negative aspects, it does feel nice and it does not add any bulkiness or thickness or anything, so it does make for a nice package. Alright, so how to summarize the ViWoods AIPaper? Well, it is unquestionable that it provides a combination, an excellent combination for writing. The writing feel, the writing latency, the writing performance, the precision and everything is extremely pleasant and really, really good. Now, when you couple that with the AI functionalities, as limited as, and maybe they've missed the mark, that I firmly stand behind that, because the AI thing should have incorporated internal functionalities between different modules of the device. So there, they completely missed the mark. But the notebooks do have that AI functionality, which in certain situations does add additional usability, which makes it even more usable. So those aspects are genuinely positive and genuinely interesting and worthy of consideration. You also have certain aspects of that for reading purposes. However, current state of the software is such that I can't really recommend that. I don't know where it's gonna go. So potentially, yes, this could be at some point in time equally excellent for reading and processing documents and doing all of these things, but at the moment it's actually very, very far from that. Yes, it has lots of functionalities and you can do a lot of things with it, but the basic stuff, the basics that are really, really important, that actually create the core, the beating heart of a platform that you can reliably use, this currently doesn't have that. And that to me is a big concern, because that kind of core of a workflow is usually a foundation of a user interface, user experience, or a whole working pipeline. And I can't see one that's firm or strong in this platform. What I see is a very flimsy scaffolding that's supposed to serve the purpose of a foundation, and a ton of shiny stuff, you know, kind of laid on top of it. The foundation of it seems flimsy to me. So from that standpoint, and that's mainly for the reader stuff, from that standpoint, I think that does it have potential to become like a really good device overall? In a couple of years, yes, and only if the team survives, and only if they are continuously dedicated to improving the platform and just making it even better and better and better and better, because we've seen that from other new companies. I think that ViWoods team deserves the benefit of a doubt and a little bit of leeway, room to basically have enough time to start addressing the issues as they pop out and as they have contact with the outer world and with the audience and with the reviewers when they present their vision, because then they're going to get feedback, and then we need to see what do they do then, right? So for me, the potential of the AIPaper is absolutely there, no question about it. It has strong bones, so the writing, excellent writing, really good potential with the screen, like properly can display really well when using a correct app that can correctly use it, things like that. But it's not there yet. So it's super early, and if you want to be an early adopter, good for you, because then you're supporting early adoption and early development of technology. But you need to be aware that this is gonna have teething issues. I wouldn't choose it as my working device because it simply isn't there yet. Whether or not it's gonna be there in 3 months, in 6 months, in 12 months, I really don't know. We don't know anything about that. It just remains for us to kind of wait and see and follow up from time to time and see where the ViWoods AIPaper platform is and what direction it's going in. But the potential is certainly there, and yeah, strong bones. That's what I would give it. Is it worth the $550? I don't know. That is a tricky one because now we have quite a few contenders. I mean, you can't ignore Book's Go 10.3. It's absolutely impossible to ignore Go 10.3 because it's a direct competitor to this. Plus, it's a Google Play certified device, so you can have ChatGPT with your own account, which you can't have here. You have to only have the ViWoods account, and that introduces another question, and that is because AI service is a paid subscription. And my question then is, how long of a subscription is included with the base price that you pay, the $550 for buying this device? And what happens when that expires? Will you then have an option to use your own subscription and your own OpenAI or ChatGPT account in conjunction with this device? And why do not we have that option right now? Because maybe I would want to use my account for this kind of stuff so that I can integrate the searches, the conversations, and the activities across multiple platforms and not have it locked just into ViWoods. You can't forget or neglect the fact that one of the major selling points of this device is relying on a continuous service providing and costs and legal sides of that service for a longer term in the future. And that's not something that anyone can guarantee because you don't know where OpenAI will be in 2 years' time. You don't know where the local legislations will be with laws and regulations regarding the AI protocols, etc., in 1 year, in 2 years. And relying on that on such a degree, in such a way, is it's a risky game. That is something that you have to keep in mind, and just think about if AIPaper is something that you are considering. And before I go, I just want to share also the information that ViWoods has reached out to me to offer you guys as viewers a coupon code with $50 off on orders over $500 US. So basically it means if you buy an AIPaper, not the AIPaper Mini, then you get $50 off. So you can get AIPaper for $450 if you use the coupon code mydeepguide, all caps, as you probably is going to display here. Or you can also use the affiliate link that is going to be displayed down below. And if you use that affiliate link and you buy the device that way, then I will get a commission of 10%, which is extremely high and extremely generous. So that's not normal. So if you buy like a AIPaper for $550, I will get $55 of that, which is like unheard of. So that's super, super high. And this is not a normal way to disclose the affiliation thing. Normally I should say like, I should tout the product and I should say like, yeah, go ahead and buy it. It's the best thing ever. Because that way, you know, I get $55 from each purchase, and that should be worthy of selling my soul, right? That's basically how this works, isn't it? Maybe I'm getting something wrong. That's the offer that is there, and me just sharing this does not mean that I endorse this product, nor do I recommend that you buy it. I've tried to be as objective and as kind of down to the point of just observing and checking out and presenting to you the state of things as it is, without embellishment or anything like that. And also, I didn't want to rob some of the viewers of the opportunity to save $50 with a coupon code, for example, if you do choose that AIPaper is in fact a device that works for you and is something that you want to buy. So I just wanted to put that out there so that you know as well. Alright, that's it from me. I hope that you found the video informative and or useful. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel because that helps the overall visibility of the channel, and ding the notification bell to get notified when new videos come out on my deep guide. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye!